Previously, I showed you guys how to make a little color picker, and we've done some other things that are similar, right? And this is all nice and good. And I did do a few extra things on here that I didn't show, but I have shown you guys how to get to my GitHub repo that has the extra files in them that I've played with more, right? And you can go in there and you can check out, the source and see how I did it, right? And that's all well and good. But what if you want to do stuff that is more complex than you can easily create in something like method draw, right? So method draw is great for like very simple stuff, but maybe you have a photograph or you have a really complex piece of art that you don't want to have to make in there. Or you might have a map, who knows, it doesn't matter. For my example, I'm going to use this horsey.png that I have already. It used to be a vector graphic, so it's now a PNG, although it used to be an SVG, but it's stuck that way, right? It's now a bitmap file. Now you can import things into method draw. You can also import things into Adobe Illustrator. So if we do this, let's look at what it actually looks like, and then we'll talk about some of the issues. Alright, so we just have a blank canvas. I can go in here and I can drag my horsey.png into this, right? And I can put it wherever I want, maybe make it a little bit smaller, throw on some squares, right? Maybe he's not at the very back, maybe he's in between some of the squares, right? Get some background, foreground, midground going on. Okay, doesn't matter. Now we can save it, right? So we're not saving it as an Illustrator file, we're saving it as an SVG because that's what we're working with. So here's SVG. So we're going to call this horsey.svg to match my current naming convention, I suppose. And that's fine. Now you've got two options here. You've got embed and you've got link. Let's look at the difference. So we can press OK. Alright. And here we have horsey.svg. If we open it in Safari, alright, looks fine. If we open it in Atom, alright, here is that horsey.svg, and look at all of this stuff. So here's a rectangle, here's a rectangle, rectangle. Image, this is that horse. Rectangle, 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 close the SVG, right? And we don't even have word wrapping on, so like it's actually a little bit worse. Not by much, but a little bit. Mainly because this is already sort of wrapped. Now, if instead we tell this to export a little bit differently or save a little bit differently, maybe horsey2.svg, and here we say link, this is more of what we're looking for. So here's horsey2.svg, and notice the difference in the icons, right? Like here, it doesn't see the horse. If we open in Safari, it does see the horse. The thing is that this is creating a link, a hypertext reference type thing, sort of like web pages do, from this file to the original, whereas this one is not. It had all that gibberish. So this one is independent of the original, whereas this one isn't. So if we view this in Atom, there you go. Look at how much like nicer this looks. So if we soft wrap, there we go. The tag for that embedded PNG is this right here. And it's basically the same thing that we had a few minutes ago. Like here, we've got it here too. Like we've got this image tag with overflow, width, height, xlink, etc. It has the transform down here because I made it smaller, right? I shrunk it. I like grabbed the corner and made it a little bit smaller. That is down here as well, somewhere. There it is. So it's all there. It's all the same stuff. It's just this one is a link to the original. And even though this one says link, where is it? Even though this one also says link, it's not. It has all this data in here, and it's telling it how to basically draw a PNG inside of the SVG. Not a link, like data telling it how to do that. Now, if we take my horsey, the PNG file, and we trash it, and we go back here, this one is fine. Command R are all I want. Doesn't make a difference. All that PNG data has been embedded inside of that SVG. Here, if I refresh this one, it is not storing that PNG data inside of the SVG. And I mean, look at it. Look at how short it was. Like, well, not that one. There's no place for it to be, right? It is referencing that file. So if the file gets deleted or moved or whatever, it can't find it. If you're referencing to an image on a server somewhere, like you've put in a URL here, and that server goes down, but whatever you're hosting yours on, or you're using yours on your computer or whatever, and you lose the internet, then it won't work, right? Because it's trying to access something that it can't find. So just keep that in mind. Now, interestingly enough, we can refresh this. If we look at the file size between the two, horsey2.svg is 1 kilobyte. Now, of course, it's referencing the horsey.png. So horsey.png is 88 kilobytes. So together, they're 89 kilobytes. But the one where we exported it and it like transformed it into like PNG data that was embedded inside of the SVG is 120 kilobytes. So it's got an extra 30 kilobytes that are who knows where, right? So yeah, part of that is also because like probably different compression algorithms and stuff that you can do with PNGs that make it more efficient than it trying to store that data in SVG with the PNG data in there. So that's something to be aware of. This method might be, probably will be, more efficient than trying to do that. Plus, if you're editing the code, it's a whole lot easier to work with. You might not want to have a whole bunch of PNGs in the same folder as your SVG, especially if you've got something pretty complex. If you're making sort of a pretty complex like web app using SVGs and stuff, you might have a folder with your image resources, and that's fine. So what we do is we just need to update the file path. So it's not horsey.png anymore. It's images/horsey.png. We're just telling it where to go, right? So if we save it, when we go back here, it's good. No problem. If we've got lots of SVGs, and these are also in its own folder, that's fine too. So now, this needs to be /images/horsey.png. // means look in the folder above your current one, right? So get out of SVGs, look here on my desktop or wherever, and then find the folder images, right? And then find horsey. So here, if we view this file in Safari, oops, well, what did I do wrong? Did I save? Ah, I didn't save. Command R, there we go. So it's fine, right? As long as it can find the file, you're good. Just keep in mind when you're moving things around, when you're renaming things, that you might have references in an SVG to some of those external linked files. Now we can give this an ID tag, right? We can say ID equals horsey, and we can refer to this just like any other part of an HTML document or of an SVG or whatnot to then modify things around, change the height, the width, the location, etc. We could make an on-click action just like we did with some of the other things as well. Now if you don't have Illustrator, no big deal. We can still do the same thing with something that we did in MethodDraw as well. Just keep in mind it's going to have that same issue, right? So if in here I import an image, and I go to my images and I find my horsey.png, cool, can make him smaller, give me the horse, where, we'll just use my arrow key since it doesn't want to grab the horse. There he is. I don't know, whatever, it was being dumb, it's fine. So here's our horse, and we can draw on some boxes like we had before. I think I had 3 on each, and the horse was not at the very back, he was in front of some, but behind the others. There we go, and we can save the image, which it didn't download for me. Instead, it's just viewing it. That's okay. I can show page source, and I can grab all of this, Command C, hop into text edit or Atom or brackets, doesn't matter what. Any plain text editor will do. This is what, horsey3.svg I think we're on now. Save that. Alright, close that, there we go, there he is. And now if we open this with Safari, it works, but once again we have that same issue. So horsey3 is 119 kilobytes. Look, it's slightly more efficient than Illustrator, yay, but like still not great, right? Because we know this could be 1 kilobyte with our 88 kilobyte horsey file. So if we open our horsey3.svg and Atom as well, we see all of that same junk once again, right? Image, no stroke, which we don't really need to even bother saying a stroke if we're not going to have one. But then we've got all this X-linked data with all of this, like, basically code to make a PNG. We delete all of that. And this is the part that we need, right? We've got Y, X, height and width. Notice it did height and width for this instead of transforming like the other one did. Same apparent effect, just a little differently in the way that it looks. Where did we put the horse? We put it in images, right? And then it was /horsey.png, I believe. Okay. And so now if we view this, horsey3.svg, notice 1 kilobyte, my horse disappeared, but if I remembered the exact name correctly, there we go, we're still good. Horsey is still fine, right? And he's referencing that image that we put in my image folder here. And same thing once again, if I move him, we're using the exact same attributes in the code. So it's going to have the same effect if I move him and refresh, right? So it breaks. So just keep that in mind. If I put the horse back and hit refresh, there he is again. So just be aware of that. And we're going to use some of these for some of our actual upcoming SVGs to add in some extra customization and possibility without having to like draw something crazy in method draw.